The twin suns of Nova Terra cast long shadows across the bustling spaceport of New Phoenix, a gleaming beacon of human ingenuity on this distant colony world. Amidst the cacophony of traders, tourists, and terraforming crews, a solitary figure moved with purpose through the crowded concourse. Dr. Elena Reeves, xenobiologist and unofficial guardian of two very special children, clutched a worn datapad to her chest as she hurried towards the residential sectors. 15 years had passed since that fateful day when a crippled escape pod had crashed in the outskirts of the fledgling colony. Inside, nestled in a cocoon of advanced alien technology, lay two infant Zephyrians, the last known survivors of a once mighty empire that had been reduced to ashes in the brutal galactic purge. Elena's mind drifted back to the moment she first laid eyes on the twins. Their iridescent scales had shimmered with an otherworldly beauty, 6 delicate tendrils framing faces that seemed too wise for newborns. In that instant, she knew her life would never be the same. Now, as she approached the modest prefab unit she called home, Eleanor steeled herself for the conversation ahead. Zara and Zorn deserved to know the truth about their origins, their heritage, and the terrible danger that still hunted them across the stars. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a scene of controlled chaos. Zara sat cross-legged on the floor, her tendrils intertwined with the circuitry of a half-dismantled drone. Her brother, Zorn, hovered nearby, his multifaceted eyes flickering rapidly as he processed the stream of data flowing through their makeshift neural link. "Hey, you two," Elena called out, unable to keep the tremor from her voice. "We need to talk." The twins disengaged from their project, turning to face their adoptive mother with matching expressions of concern. They had always been preternaturally attuned to Eleanor's moods, a trait she suspected was more than just keen empathy. "What's wrong, Mom?" Zara asked, her voice a melodious trill that never failed to send a shiver down Eleanor's spine. Even after all these years, the beauty of the Zephyrian language amazed her. Elena sank into a chair, gesturing for the twins to join her. "There's something I should have told you long ago. Something about who you are, and why we've had to hide for so long." Zorn's tendrils twitched nervously. "Is this about our birth parents? The ones from your stories?" "Yes," Elena nodded, "but it's so much more than that. Your parents weren't just refugees fleeing a war. They were the emperor and empress of the Zephyrian Empire." The silence that followed was deafening. Zara and Zorn exchanged a look of disbelief, their neural link humming with unspoken questions. Elena continued, her words tumbling out in a rush. "The Galactic Purge wasn't just a war. It was a coordinated attack on your people, fueled by fear of Zephyrian technology and the power of the royal bloodline. Your parents, they sacrificed everything to ensure your survival." She activated her datapad, and a holographic star map flickered to life between them. At its center pulsed an angry red dot. "This," Eleanor said, her finger trembling as she pointed, "is all that remains of Zephyria Prime. Your homeworld, reduced to a shattered husk by gravitational weapons we still don't fully understand." Zorn's voice was barely a whisper. "But why? Why would anyone do this?" Eleanor's gaze hardened. "Because of what flows in your veins. The royal bloodline of Zephyria carries within it the key to unlocking the full potential of your ancestors' technology. Whoever controls you controls the most powerful weapons and energy sources in the known galaxy." Zara stood abruptly, her scales flickering through a kaleidoscope of colors, a sure sign of emotional distress. "So we're just weapons? Things to be used?" "No." Eleanor rose, enveloping both twins in a fierce embrace. "You are so much more than that. You are the hope of your people, the rightful heirs to a legacy of wisdom and peace that spanned millennia. And you are my children, no matter where you came from." As if in response to her words, a high-pitched whine suddenly filled the air. Eleanor's blood ran cold as she recognized the sound of a planetary defense shield activating, something that only happened in times of imminent attack. An urgent message flashed across every screen in the house. "Alert! Unidentified vessels breaching upper atmosphere. All citizens report to emergency shelters immediately." Eleanor's mind raced. After 15 years of hiding, of careful misdirection and false trails, had their enemies finally found them? She gripped the twins' shoulders, locking eyes with each of them in turn. Listen to me carefully. Everything I've done, every secret I've kept, was to prepare you for this moment. There's an emergency shuttle hidden beneath the house. You need to take it and go, now. What? No exclamation mark, Zorn protested. We won't leave you. But Eleanor was already moving, her fingers flying over a hidden panel that caused a section of the floor to iris open. You have to. I'll only slow you down, and they can't be allowed to capture you. Everything you need is on this. She pressed the datapad into Zara's hands. It will guide you to others who can help, who can teach you about your true heritage. The house shook as the first explosions rocked New Phoenix. Through the windows, they could see streams of weapons fire piercing the clouds. Go, Eleanor shouted, pushing the twins towards the opening. Remember your training, trust in each other, and know that I will always love you. Tears streaming down their faces, Zara and Zorn stumbled into the hidden hangar. The last thing they saw before the doors slid shut was Eleanor, silhouetted against the burning sky, facing the approaching danger with fierce determination. As the shuttle's engines roared to life, carrying them away from the only home they'd ever known, the twins clung to each other. They were royals without a throne, heirs to an empire of ashes. But they were also survivors, carrying within them the hopes and dreams of a fallen civilization. Their journey was just beginning, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what these two unlikely heroes would become. The sleek emergency shuttle cut through the inky blackness of space, its stealth systems rendering it nearly invisible to both sensors and the naked eye. Inside the cramped cockpit, Zara and Zorn huddled together. Their iridescent scales dimmed to a muted blue, a reflection of the fear and uncertainty that gripped them. We shouldn't have left her, Zorn said for what felt like the 100th time, his tendrils curling and uncurling in agitation. She's the only family we have. Zara's multifaceted eyes flickered with emotion, but her voice remained steady. Mom gave us a mission, Zorn. We have to see it through, for her and for our people, wherever they might be. She activated the datapad Elena had pressed into her hands during their frantic escape. A holographic display sprang to life, filling the cockpit with a dizzying array of star charts, encrypted messages, and fragments of what appeared to be an ancient Zephyrian text. Look at this, Zara breathed, her scientist's mind already racing to decipher the information before them. Coordinates, hidden supply caches, communication protocols. Mum's been planning this for years. Zorn leaned in, his own analytical skills complementing his sister's. Where Zara excelled at unraveling complex systems, Zorn had an uncanny ability to see patterns and predict outcomes. Together, they had always been an unstoppable team. There, he said, pointing to a pulsing dot near the edge of the display. That's our first destination, an abandoned mining outpost in the Ceresian Drift. If I'm reading this correctly, we'll find supplies and some kind of guide. Before Zara could respond, a shrill alarm cut through the air. The shuttle's sensors had detected a massive energy surge directly behind them. The twins spun in their seats, eyes widening in horror at the sight that greeted them. A swirling vortex of impossible colors tore open the fabric of space itself. From within its depths emerged a ship of terrifying proportions, all sleek lines and predatory angles, bristling with weapons that put even the most advanced human dreadnoughts to shame. By the twin suns, Zara whispered, her voice filled with awe and terror. Is that a Zephyrian warship? Zorn finished, his tendrils trembling. But how? Our people were supposed to be gone, scattered to the cosmic winds. The mystery deepened as the comm system crackled to life. A voice, speaking perfect Zephyrian with an accent that hinted at great age and authority, filled the cockpit. Royal heirs of the Zephyrian throne, this is Grand Admiral Zixthar of the Imperial Remnant. By the sacred blood that flows through your veins, I urge you to drop your stealth fields and prepare for emergency docking. The fate of our people hangs in the balance. Zara and Zorn exchanged a look of mingled hope and suspicion. Could this truly be a rescue, a reunion with their long-lost people? Or was it an elaborate trap, designed to lure them into the hands of those who would use their genetic heritage as a weapon? With trembling fingers, Zara opened a channel. This is Zara, daughter of Emperor Zolthar and Empress Nirene. How do we know we can trust you?" A moment of silence stretched into eternity before the reply came. "Clever young one. Your caution does you credit. Know then that I served as your father's most trusted advisor, and that I was there on the day of your birth, when the twin moons of Zephyria Prime aligned for the first time in a millennium. I swore an oath, sealed in blood and stardust, to protect the royal line at all costs." The words struck a chord deep within the twins, resonating with some primal memory they didn't know they possessed. Zorn's tendrils twitched as he ran complex probability calculations in his head. "Zara," he said softly, I think we need to take this chance. Whatever's on that data pad, wherever Mum wanted us to go, it can wait. This might be our only opportunity to learn the truth about who we really are." Zara nodded, her heart pounding as she made the decision that would change their lives forever. "Admiral Zixthar, we're dropping our stealth field now. Please let this not be a mistake." As the tiny shuttle was enveloped by the tractor beams of the massive warship, neither Zara nor Zorn could shake the feeling that they were pieces in a game far larger and more complex than they could possibly imagine. The answers they sought lay just beyond that airlock, along with dangers beyond their wildest nightmares. Little did they know that light years away, on a planet thought to be reduced to cosmic rubble, ancient machinery was humming to life. Zephyria Prime stirred from its long slumber, awaiting the return of its rightful heirs. The true test of Zara and Zorn's destiny was about to begin. The cavernous docking bay of the Zephyrian warship swallowed Zara and Zorn's tiny shuttle whole. As the airlock cycled and the doors hissed open, the twins found themselves face to face with a sight that took their breath away. Rows of Zephyrian soldiers stood at attention, their iridescent armor gleaming under the bay's harsh lights. But it was the figure at their center that drew the twins' gaze, Grand Admiral Zixthar, resplendent in robes that shimmered with colors beyond human perception. "Welcome home, young heirs." Zixthar's voice resonated with a depth that seemed to bypass their ears entirely, speaking directly to their very souls. "The stars themselves rejoice at your return." Zara and Zorn stepped forward hesitantly, acutely aware of how out of place they looked in their simple human clothing. A lifetime of hiding their true nature warred with an instinctive urge to stand tall and proud before their people. "Grand Admiral," Zara began, struggling to find the right words, We have so many questions. About our parents, our heritage, why we were hidden away for so long." Zixthar's multifaceted eyes flickered with an emotion the twins couldn't quite decipher. "All will be revealed in time, young ones. But first, we must ensure your safety and begin your education in earnest. The fate of our entire civilization rests upon your shoulders." As if on cue, the ship shuddered violently. Alarms blared as a voice cut through the commotion. "Multiple hostile vessels detected. Gravitational weapons powering up." Zixthar's demeanor shifted instantly from regal to commanding. "To battle stations. Protect the royal heirs at all costs." Chaos erupted as soldiers scrambled to their posts. Zara and Zorn found themselves being ushered deeper into the ship by a contingent of guards. Through viewports, they caught glimpses of sleek, predatory ships emerging from fold space, vessels that radiated malevolence. "The Void Consortium," Zixthar growled, his tendrils writhing with barely contained fury. "Scavengers and mercenaries who seek to harness the power of Zephyrian technology for their own twisted ends." The twins exchanged a look of growing horror. "This is our fault," Zorn whispered. "They followed us here." Zixthar's expression softened momentarily. "No, young prince, this war has raged in the shadows for 15 years. Your emergence has simply forced it into the light." They arrived at what appeared to be the ship's command center, a cathedral-like space dominated by holographic displays and humming with energy. Zixthar strode to a central platform, his tendrils interfacing seamlessly with the ship's systems. "Behold," he said, his voice tinged with both pride and sorrow, "the last bastion of Zephyrian might. This ship, the stellar Aegis, carries within it the hopes and dreams of our scattered people." Zara's scientific mind raced to comprehend the technology surrounding them. "It's incredible," she breathed. But how has it remained hidden for so long? Surely the humans, the galactic confederation, cloaking fields beyond their comprehension, Zixthar explained, as the ship rocked from enemy fire, and the unwavering loyalty of those few who remembered their oaths to the throne. But now, with your return, we can finally— His words were cut short as a blinding light filled the command center. When it faded, Zara and Zorn found themselves facing a sight that defied belief. A shimmering figure stood before them, a woman of otherworldly beauty, her form composed of swirling energy and stardust. Though they had never seen her before, the twins knew instinctively who she was. "Mother?" Zara's voice cracked with emotion. The spectral empress smiled sadly. "My beautiful children, how I've longed to see you again. But I'm afraid our reunion must be brief." Zorn stepped forward, his tendrils reaching out instinctively. "How is this possible? We were told you died in the attack on Zephyria Prime." "In a way, we did," the Empress's form flickered, "but Zephyrian royalty are more than mere flesh and blood. We are the living embodiment of our people's collective consciousness, preserved through technology beyond mortal comprehension." Her gaze turned to Zixthar, who had fallen to one knee in reverence. "My old friend, you have served us well, but I'm afraid your part in this tale is at an end." Before anyone could react, the Empress raised her hand. Energy crackled, and Zixthar's form began to dissolve into motes of light. Zara and Zorn watched in horror as Grand Admiral Zixthar's form dissipated into swirling motes of light. Their shock quickly turned to confusion as the particles coalesced around them, forming a shimmering barrier. "What's happening?" Zorn demanded, his tendrils writhing in distress. "Mother, why?" The spectral Empress's expression was a mixture of sorrow and determination. "My children, not all is as it seems. The truth is far more complex than you can imagine." As if to punctuate her words, the ship shuddered violently. Through the command center's viewports, they could see the attacking vessels drawing closer, their weapons leaving trails of distorted space-time in their wake. "We don't have much time," the Empress continued. "The Zephyrian Empire was not the bastion of peace and wisdom you've been led to believe. Our people's technological advancements came at a terrible cost, one that threatened the very fabric of the universe itself." Zara's scientific mind raced to keep up. "What are you saying? That we're the bad guys?" "There are no simple villains or heroes in this tale, my daughter," the Empress replied. "The Galactic Purge, as terrible as it was a desperate attempt to prevent an even greater catastrophe. Your father and we saw the truth too late. We couldn't bear to destroy you, our only children, so we hid you away. But in doing so, we may have doomed countless worlds." The twins reeled from this revelation. Everything they thought they knew about their heritage, their destiny, had been turned upside down in a matter of moments. Zorn's analytical mind kicked into overdrive. "The Void Consortium, the Imperial Remnant, they're all after the same thing, aren't they? The power that flows through our veins." The Empress nodded solemnly. "The key to unlocking Zephyrian technology at its full terrible potential. In the wrong hands, it could unravel the very laws of physics. That's why you were hidden, why you must now make an impossible choice." Before she could elaborate, a new voice cut through the chaos, familiar yet distorted by the ship's comm systems. "Zara, Zorn, can you hear me?" The twins' hearts leapt. "Mom?" Zara called out. "Elena, is that you?" "Oh, thank the stars," Elena's voice crackled with relief and urgency. "Listen carefully. I'm aboard one of the consortium ships. It's not what you think. They're not the enemies here. You need to lower the Stellar Aegis's shields and let us dock. I can explain everything." The spectral Empress's form flickered, her expression hardening. "You must not trust her, my children. The human may have cared for you, but she cannot understand the true scope of what's at stake. You must come with me to Zephyria Prime. Only there can you learn to control your powers and set right the mistakes of the past." Zara and Zorn stood frozen, caught between the only mother they'd ever known and the ghostly image of the woman who had given them life. The fate of not just their people, but possibly the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. "We have to choose," Zorn said softly, his tendrils intertwining with his sister's, a gesture of comfort they'd shared since infancy. Zara nodded, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the turmoil within. But how can we? We don't have enough information. We don't know who to trust. As if in response to their indecision, the ship rocked violently. Warning klaxons blared as a voice announced, "Hull breach in sections 12 through 15. Gravitational singularities detected." The spectral Empress's form began to fade. "You must decide quickly, my children. The power to shape the destiny of worlds lies within you. Trust in each other and in the blood that flows through your veins." With a final sorrowful look, she vanished, leaving Zara and Zorn alone in the chaos of the disintegrating command center. The twins locked eyes, a lifetime of shared experiences and unspoken understanding passing between them in an instant. They had always been stronger together, their unique abilities complementing and amplifying each other. Perhaps that was the key. "Together," Zara said, her voice steadying as resolution filled her. "Always," Zorn replied, a hint of a smile tugging at his lips despite the dire circumstances. As one, they turned to the ship's control interface. Their tendrils moved in perfect synchronization, interfacing with the alien technology as if they'd been born to it, which, in a way, they had been. Energy surged through the stellar aegis, but not in the way anyone could have predicted. Instead of weapons powering up or shields strengthening, the entire vessel began to shimmer and distort. "What are you doing?" Eleanor's panicked voice came through the comms. "Zara, Zorn, please." But the twins were beyond hearing now, lost in a trance as they tapped into powers they never knew they possessed. The ship around them began to dissolve, its very atoms seeming to merge with the surrounding space. In a blinding flash that momentarily outshone the nearby stars, the stellar aegis, the Void Consortium fleet, and a significant portion of the surrounding space simply vanished. Light years away, on a shattered world thought long dead, ancient machinery hummed to life. Zephyria Prime stirred, awaiting the return of its prodigal children and the reckoning that would follow. As the light faded and the stunned observers tried to comprehend what they'd just witnessed, one thing became crystal clear. The galaxy would never be the same again. In the swirling maelstrom of fold space, where the laws of physics bent and twisted like fevered dreams, Zara and Zorn clung to each other. Their bodies had become conduits for energies beyond mortal comprehension, every cell resonating with the power of their awakened Zephyrian heritage. Fragments of ships, both the stellar aegis and the Void Consortium fleet, orbited them like debris caught in a cyclone. And there, suspended in the heart of the chaos, was Elena, her eyes wide with a mixture of terror and awe. "Mom," Zara called out, her voice somehow carrying through the impossible void. With a thought, she extended a tendril of energy, drawing Eleanor closer. "What's happening?" Eleanor gasped as she reached them, her human form shimmering and distorting in the surreal environment. "What have you done?" Zorn's multifaceted eyes pulsed with power as he struggled to maintain their protective bubble. "We're not sure," he admitted, "but I think we're going home." As if triggered by his words, reality seemed to snap back into focus. The swirling energies coalesced, and with a sound like the birth of a universe, they found themselves materialized on a rocky, desolate plain beneath an alien sky. Zephyria Prime. But it was not the thriving heartworld of a mighty empire. The landscape before them was a wasteland, the ruins of once great cities jutting from the scarred earth like the bones of fallen giants. Twin suns hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to writhe with a life of their own. "It's dead," Zara whispered, her tendrils drooping in sorrow. "All of it, dead and gone." Eleanor stumbled, her human physiology struggling to adapt to the alien environment. "Not dead," she managed, her voice hoarse. "Dormant, waiting." Before the twins could question her, the ground beneath their feet trembled. Fissures opened up, releasing clouds of glittering dust that swirled around them. As they watched in amazement, the particles began to coalesce, forming familiar shapes. The spectral Empress materialized once more, but this time she was not alone. Hundreds, thousands of ghostly Zephyrians shimmered into existence, their forms ranging from noble warriors to humble artisans, all watching the twins with expressions of mingled hope and apprehension. "My children," the Empress's voice echoed across the barren plain. "You have returned to us at last, but I'm afraid the truth you seek Maybe more than you can bear. Zorn stepped forward, his analytical mind already piecing together the puzzle. This is what the Galactic Purge was really about, wasn't it? Not destroying our people, but containing them somehow. The Emperor's form materialized beside his wife, his expression grave. Yes, my son. The Zephyrian Empire's greatest achievement was also its darkest secret. We found a way to transcend physical form, to become beings of pure energy and thought. But in doing so, we unleashed a power that threatened to consume everything in its path. The Void Consortium, Zara realized, her eyes widening. They're not our enemies. They're trying to prevent our people from awakening fully. Elena nodded weakly, still struggling to stand. I've been working with them for years, trying to find a way to safely reintegrate the Zephyrian consciousness without risking the fabric of space-time itself. The twins turned to her, a mixture of hurt and understanding in their eyes. Why didn't you tell us? Zorn asked softly. Because the power to control this process lies within you, the Spectral Emperor explained. Your unique genetic makeup, the blend of our transcendent forms and your mother's human DNA holds the key to stabilizing the transformation, but it had to be your choice, made with full understanding of the consequences. Zara's tendrils twisted in agitation. And what are those consequences? What happens if we fail? The Empress's form flickered ominously. If the reintegration is not handled perfectly, the released energy could create a cascading reaction, tearing apart the very fabric of the galaxy. Billions of lives on countless worlds would be snuffed out in an instant. The weight of this revelation settled over the twins like a shroud. They had dreamed of finding their true heritage, of belonging to something greater than themselves. But this was a responsibility almost too vast to comprehend. There has to be another way, Zorn insisted, his analytical mind racing through probabilities and permutations. Perhaps there is, a new voice rang out. From the swirling dust emerged a figure that radiated ancient wisdom, the Zephyrian equivalent of a master scientist. But it would require a sacrifice greater than any we have asked before. As the ghostly scientist explained the intricacies of his plan, Zara and Zorn felt a growing sense of both dread and purpose. The path ahead was fraught with danger, not just to themselves, but to everything they held dear. They looked to Elena, the woman who had raised them, loved them, prepared them for a destiny beyond imagining. Her eyes shone with tears, but also with unwavering faith in the children she had come to call her own. Whatever you decide, she said softly, know that I am proud of you. So very proud. Zara and Zorn turned back to the shimmering host of their ancestral people. The fate of not just two civilizations, but of the entire galaxy, rested in their hands. With a shared glance, a lifetime of trust and understanding passing between them, they made their choice. We're ready, they said in unison, their voices ringing with determination. As the ancient machinery of Zephyria Prime hummed to life around them, as energies beyond mortal comprehension began to swirl and coalesce, Zara and Zorn stood tall. They were no longer lost orphans or hidden royals, but the bridge between worlds, the key to a future that would reshape the very stars themselves. The true awakening had begun.